My husband tried to kidnap our children and flee the country, but what I did left him speechless. About 2 weeks ago, I was using Martin's laptop because mine was dead, and I needed to check an email about my kid's daycare. Nothing sus about that, right? But when I opened the browser, I saw he had been looking at visa requirements for Singapore. We've never talked about Singapore. Like, never ever. I didn't think much of it TBH, maybe it was for something else, but then I noticed he'd also been looking at international schools in Singapore. We have a 3YO and a 1NIO. Why would he be looking at schools in another country? I closed the laptop and tried to forget about it, but something felt off. That night at dinner, I casually asked if he'd ever thought about visiting Singapore, and he got this weird look on his face and said, "Not really, why?" and changed the subject super fast. I could tell he was lying because he wouldn't make eye contact and kept fidgeting with his fork. Red flag FR. The next day while he was at work, I went through his laptop again. I know. Invasion of privacy, whatever, but I was freaking out. I found emails between him and someone named Grace. The emails weren't like super explicit or anything, but there was definitely something going on. She kept saying stuff like, "I can't wait until we can be together properly," and "The waiting is killing me." But here's where it gets really messed up. In one email she said, "I've been looking at houses near that school we liked. Plenty of room for the kids to play." The kids. My kids. What the actual hell? I kept digging and found out Martin had applied for a job transfer to their Singapore office. He never mentioned this to me. Not once. And he'd been approved. The transfer was scheduled for next month. He had a freaking plane ticket already purchased. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Martin and I have been together since high school. We have 2 beautiful children together. How could he do this? How could he plan to take my babies away from me? I was literally shaking so hard I dropped his laptop and cracked the screen. Oops. Instead of confronting him right away, which TBH was my first instinct, I decided to be smart about this. I took pictures of everything I found and sent them to my sister. Then I started monitoring his texts by syncing his messages to the iPad. He doesn't know I can see them. For the next week, I watched as he texted this Grace person constantly. They never said anything explicitly about taking my kids, but they talked about the plan and making sure everything goes smoothly. He kept assuring her that everything was on track. I also found out he'd been moving money to a separate account. Small amounts at first, but over the past 3 months, it added up to almost $20,000. Our savings is basically gone. I feel sick thinking about how long he's been planning this. Yesterday, I decided I needed to know who this Grace person is. I went through Martin's contacts and found her number. I didn't call her or anything. I just wanted to see if I could figure out who she was. I searched her on social media and OMG. She's his coworker. They've been working together for over a year. Her Instagram is full of pictures from office parties and team lunches. Martin is in a bunch of them. She posted a picture 2 months ago with the caption, "Sometimes the best things in life come when you least expect them," with heart emoji. And Martin had liked it. I wanted to throw up. Today, I decided enough was enough. I waited until the kids were napping and confronted Martin. I didn't tell him everything I knew, just asked again about Singapore. He denied everything at first, said it was just something he was looking into for a potential vacation. I called him a liar, told him I knew about Grace. His face went completely white. He started stammering, saying I didn't understand, that it wasn't what it looked like. Classic. I asked him straight up if he was planning to take our children to Singapore. He wouldn't answer. We started arguing, voices getting louder. I was so angry I could barely see straight. He kept saying I was overreacting, that I was crazy, but then his phone buzzed. It was a text from Grace. I lunged for it, but he grabbed it first, holding it away from me. I screamed at him, demanding to see it. He refused, backing away from me. I followed him into the kitchen, still yelling. He was trying to delete the message when I grabbed his arm. He shoved me away, hard. I stumbled backward and hit the counter. That's when I saw it. On the kitchen counter was a manila envelope. It was partially open, and I could see passport photos of our children inside. Martin saw me looking at it, and his eyes went wild. He lunged for the envelope just as I did. We both grabbed it at the same time and started wrestling for it. Papers flew everywhere. I saw flight itineraries, passport applications, custody documents, everything laid out in black and white. His plan to take my babies away. I screamed and tried to gather the papers, but Martin grabbed me by the hair and yanked me backward. I broke free and ran for the kitchen drawer where we keep the big knife. The full story is on the channel, link below.